And I said, no, I am planning to sue the building inspector because that's the appropriate way to go about it.
Okay.
Okay,
We're gonna move
but I'm
on.
sorry, Gary.
And I'm sorry if I'm
Well, no, you
strong
have a
on
right to
this, but
respond.
I'm going to refute this. I'm not gonna sit here and accept this kind of a charge without having some word on it. And I said that I would use my own funds to sue against the building inspector for violation of the building, the zoning bylaw on signs.
But we're not gonna have to go there, because we're gonna
What?
get clarification on the bylaw. Now, certainly we have.
And I won't sue yet, because I haven't been hurt yet.
See, all right, let's move on. Town council, either one of our law firms have folks in their organization that can address and do work. Our Nancy McGuire tends to be education specialist. So she might not be the best one, but there's probably someone in her firm. Or we could go through town council, who's certainly well-versed in zoning bylaws, doesn't matter to me, who we get an interpretation on. But I know I personally, and I think I've heard from other members, that we need clarification on this ruling, this bylaw, especially as it pertains to accessory abuse. So, we can make that formal request to
Should I
the
add,
TA?
should I ask, maybe move through?
Yes.
Ms.
Yep,
Linville, go to the TA so that way all your questions are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then it would be my intention that once we got it, we would get a hold of CPC, and not just chairman through chairman, but committee to committee, with you guys involved as well. We'll have a sit down and make sure so that we all understand what the lawyer has said and what the CPC feels in response to that. And then that will lead us to the next step. Does that sound okay?
Perfect, I think you should go through Greg, because he's already dealt with our town council on it. Whether school committee council, Greg may
I
say,
have no
go.
preference, I don't
Okay.
think either one of them is
So
gonna.
great, if you could just
Right.
keep me carbon copied on all the emails, that would be great, so that we're all in the loop there.
Absolutely,
Awesome,
not a problem.
thank you very much.
Thank
All
you.
set?
Everything else go.
Everything else is okay, thank God, I'm here.
Can we put up,
Yeah, for instance, could we put up something that says signups for youth soccer in the fall, or youth football, or something like that there?
I would not put anything up there until this issue is
no, we
clarified,
usually go through the
but go
superintendent.
and put it up on the regular batch plans, which gets more visibility anyway.
Those are the normal
You
things
can't
we do.
read
I
youth
just-
soccer
we still
signups
continue-
from the
we
street.
still continue with that policy.
On the bachelor plans, yes, Cal Nelson handles that, and there's a time limit, you're well aware, because you've always done it.
Well, I didn't know if that was okay, because it was okay there, if it would be okay there, I just figured I'd check, 'cause I'm gonna get asked that by the youth leagues, I'm sure.
Well, it's never been an issue in the past, so I don't even think it's worth bringing up. Continue with what we've always done, allowed access on the batch plans through Carl's office for limited use, limited.
Dr. Should, do you want a copy of?
We have that in
We
our
have
pack.
everything here, we don't need to give
He
it here.
provided that for us in our pack.
Great.
Mr.
Thanks,
Doctor, if we
guys.
don't speak to
Thank
you
you very much.
before your retirement, thank you very much.
Yeah. Yes,
29
lots of
days.
years, Maureen, thank you
29
very
days,
much.
and this is the first time this has ever happened.
As we know, it's not easy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll move along. Let's move on to, back to one, FY11 budget discussion.
If I recall that, or was it,
We fight with Carl.
Okay, it's been a while since we've really had any substantive discussion about FY11 budget, and wanted to provide the committee an update on this matter. I think that the finance planning team meeting on Thursday will be a very important meeting.
Yes.
And the reason for that is, it's my understanding that the town may be changing some of its estimates for local aid in Chapter 70 as a result of new information that's coming in. I think the committee and the public will remember that we intentionally delayed the budget process by 2 months this year, which has turned out to be an outstanding decision.
Right.
In those 2 months, we're put into the budget process so that information such as local revenues and Chapter 70 would be more accurate. So, as of Thursday, we will have an interim or possibly a final figure from the town, which will then allow us to really construct a budget. I mean, we've really been in a holding pattern. So it's our intent through Dr. Manfield's office to reissue a summary of our budget status showing what our level services number looks like against what available revenues we have to see if there is a disparity. And in the interim period, Dr. Manfield has been working with the school administrators to come up with contingency reduction plans should that disparity be in place. So here we are in mid-April. I think even though we haven't been talking budget, there's been a lot of work going on behind the scenes, and in 3 or 4 days we will be able to issue a summary of a budget, and then I think we will be following it up at the, is it an April 26th school committee meeting, 2 weeks from today?
Yes.
And Dr. Manville has recommended that we use that as a budget hearing.
Budget hearing.
So, Deanna and Marianne, April 26th, the school committee meeting will be our budget hearing meeting.
So at that time, we will present our status.
Okay.
I'm wondering if we should, the finance committee has requested a meeting with us on May 5th.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if we should have our public budget hearing before or after that meeting with the finance committee.
I think it's usually a good idea to go with them, go to them with input from the community to back up our budget and our request, because certainly we take that input into
Right.
consideration. And it doesn't discount them from the process, because Abby and Dawn through the planning team keep us up to date, if that's all right. So, in the event that generosity falls on our side and the increase in Chapter 70s is allotted fully to the school budget, I'm just guessing here, but our gap really comes down to a $300,000 to $500,000? 300 to 500?
Perhaps less than that. You know,
Okay.
I don't know if I'm going to weigh in, but we've been pretty aggressive and creative with some solutions, and we haven't made them public because we really need to see what funds are
Okay.
available first. That's really the first step. But I think it's fair to say that we think that the disparity will be less than that.
I think what, and certainly I'll defer to Mel as well, I think one strategy that we should bring to the planning team, if that number becomes a small manageable number, that we put an unassigned reduction into our budget. And those items would be identified as those things we don't need to start school in September, with the hopes that come October town meeting, once free cash is certified or revenues are actuals rather than estimates, that we would get the additional funding. I mean, certainly you don't want to do it with a number as high as 300,000 because, oh gee, where would you turn in October? But I think it's totally appropriate to go with a manageable number as an unassigned reduction, rather than making those cuts and sending those pink slips out now, only to find out that October turns around and we've been conservative on our estimates and the funds are available. I don't know,
If the number's lower than that, I had a discussion with Mr. Mosseri today, and you know, he's on the outside, but I think he's still basing his figures off what we talked about back a month or so ago, and he was still saying if they changed the way they applied the Chapter 70 funds, we'd still have a $500,000 to $600,000 shortfall. So I think, you know, he's looking at what we had for budget 4 to 6 weeks ago. And if you and Dr. Manville have worked to make that smaller, you know, I don't like going with that kind of deficit 2 years in a row and just going in and hoping that we find the money at
Yeah.
town meeting. So I don't know how comfortable I feel about that.
Well, a couple things. One is House Ways and Means is putting out their budget Wednesday, which will let us know what their Chapter 70 money is. As Mr. Nelson has said, we haven't really been very public about stuff we're talking about because we're not exactly sure how much we need to implement or not to implement. After meeting with the Administrative Council 2 weeks ago, Mr. Nelson and I sat down for a fairly extensive discussion of the budget. Our goal is to not reduce any staff. Now, Does that mean that if somebody retires, we're gonna replace them? No, but it means we're not gonna
Lay
let
off?
anybody go. And we'd like very much to be able to bring people back. So some of the things that we've looked at, our small cap is $156,000. I've checked with Pam Baldwin on that. You know, can we do without the whiteboards? Yes. Can we do without the textbooks? Yes. We won't be as up to date in the curriculum, but if it means we can keep some people working, we're willing to do that. We think that there maybe some unexpended funds, and we're getting a better idea of that in this year's budget. The heating season's over, so we have an idea of what's left in some line items. Some line items where we have some problems in, we're gonna have to do some adjusting. But depending upon what we have, say, on June 1st, then we have an idea of what we can prepay, what we can buy out of this year's funds, out of next year's budget to reduce the deficit that way. We think we may have some funding that's held for us in different areas that we don't normally apply to the budget, that we can apply to the budget. Specifically, I'm talking about the SEAM Collaborative Escrow account. We have a certain amount of money in there, and if we were to say to SEAM, pay for X number of tuitions out of the escrow account, which we will be able to reestablish as next year goes on, then we can take the money we budgeted in the level services budget and redistribute it. So I think you're right. I think if everything were to break our way, the difference between the money that we get from the town, or the town would indicate to us, and what our level services is, would be not a great number, but a manageable number.
Right.
I don't think it would be as high as $500,000.
Right.
But until we have a better idea of what that is, it's difficult to go forward. I've met with the Teachers Association. We've gone over the deadlines that exist in the contract. There are two deadlines that really come into play here. One is if you're going to release a professional status teacher, the contract says that teacher has to know by May 1st. We don't anticipate that at all. The other deadline that comes into play is June 15th. And that's the deadline to notify non-professional status teachers that they're not coming back. So by June 15th, we'll have a budget, we'll know what's going on, and we should be able to make those decisions long before that deadline comes. So that's where we think we are in the budget process. We're going to know a lot. I agree with Mr. Nelson on Thursday, and we'll know some pretty good information on Wednesday when House Ways and Means moves the budget.
It's those items that, in my mind, brought that 5 to 6 down to the 2 and 3 range. And I think that an unassigned reduction that could cover the small cap, in my mind, would be manageable. So I'm not sure what the rest of the committee would think as manageable, but I think small cap is something we could come in October. I question the textbooks, but by the time you purchase them, they would probably be for the following year at that point. So maybe
It
we
would
want.
depend upon how quick they could get them here. You could implement the program the second semester.
Okay. So we have a couple of good ideas. Is there anything else that you'd like us, Mel and I, to bring to the finance
Oh,
planning team?
let's see what the number is and squeeze every dollar you can out of it.
You know, we have such a cooperative spirit that we're at a point in that planning team that with the finance and the Board of Selectmen members, we don't really have to make the argument of the need for education. It's understood, so I'm very appreciative of the
I mean,
effort.
that's good, and I still think that our position should be, within reason, level services.
Right, we haven't wavered on that.
No, right.
Good. It's the hope of including that small cap, the 156,000. And we do have to show how we're applying the ARA funds.
Yes.
So, that all set? All right. Next item. School building.
School Building Authority update. Just to let you know what's going on, Mr. Nelson and Mr. Hardacker have completed